Hi, everybody. We'll give everybody a couple minutes to get in here. How is everybody doing today? I am doing okay. It has been a technologically challenging day. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I finally figured out my little lav mic. Happy printings from Mexico. Hello to everybody. How is everybody's Monday going? Mine is going as a typical Monday should. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. Is the printer too loud or the fan too loud? Because I can, well, the printer you're probably going to have to deal with, but the fan I can turn off if you guys can hear it. "11 more hours." Dude, I'm so sorry. That sounds miserable. Oh, Eddie, I feel your pain. Hey, Repcord. Huge thank you to Repcord for putting together that awesome calendar that all the makers can use for streams. So if you do any live streams, it doesn't have to be 3D printing related, it just has to be making related. Go ahead and check that out. Let me find the link. I should remember it, and I don't. Did my A-nut blow up? No, it did not blow up. More on that in a little bit. Done. Oops. Makerstreams.org. Hey, no spoilers, mister. There we go. That should be clickable. Okay, so let's just let's get going here. Just a couple of things that I have purchased recently or received recently. One of which should be happening right now but isn't, and that is this lovely capture card, which I really wish I could be using right now, but unfortunately I don't have the right cable to hook it up to my camera. So next week I should have a much better camera, although this one seems to be looking okay right now. It's kind of hit or miss. So that is one thing that I got. I also got some more filament because I'm addicted. So I ordered some of the Proto Pasta Black HTPLA V3, which was a recommendation from Tinkers. I was looking for another black one as Atomic Filament was out of stock. They're back in stock as of today, so if you have been waiting for some, you can check it out. I'm going to try this out. I've got a couple orders for black ears, and I have no black to print with at the moment. I also, while I was at it, picked up another spool of the High Five Blue because it's freaking beautiful and I needed some more in my life. And then because the guys over at Proto Pasta and Joel Telling are freaking amazing, I got a high 10 from Joel for 2 times the fun. How awesome was that of them? So I'm super, super excited to play around. Now I don't have to be quite so stingy with the filament. I'm going to have lots and lots of fun things to print. Hey, J-Wall. Yeah, so we might as well get into the Anet since it's in the conversation. I think that's everything I've gotten recently. I think so. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's it. So the Anet. Now, the Anet has not run a whole lot in the first place. After messing around with it a little bit, I realized I just didn't have time to do the upgrades to it that I had wanted to do or that it needed. So I gave that printer to Nick. That is going to be his tinkering printer, which is great because he loves to tinker and he's got the time to do it. So the amount of time that is on the Anet in terms of print time was actually under 50 hours. So not a whole lot. In fact, not even enough time to print all of the upgrades that were necessary for it to be a safe, usable printer. But nothing crazy had been done to it, just the basics. And after 48 hours of printing, Nick walked into the studio in here and smelled something funny. Immediately looked at the Anet, even though the Prusa was going at the same time, and of course the Anet's battery was fried. Or power supply, not battery, you know what I meant. Right there, nice and fried. It smelled quite lovely, like burnt rubber. And that pretty much shut down the use of the Anet temporarily. So it is shut down and pretty much stripped down right now. And Nick ordered some replacement parts. There were some upgrades we were already planning on doing that were going to require it to be torn apart. But Nick was just hoping to tear it down once and then rebuild it once rather than doing it over and over and over again. So unfortunately, that's not necessarily going to be the case now. So luckily we were able to catch it as quickly as possible. I know that plastic is supposed to melt from the hot end, not the power supply. But you know what? I'm kind of defiant, and apparently the Anet is too. We don't have an Anet or a name for the Anet yet, so if anybody has any suggestions, I'm sure Nick would love to hear it. We've got Furiosa back there, which is the Flash Forge. We've got Beastie over there, which is the Trinus. The Prusa still needs to be named, and I think something having to do with burning might be a good one for the Anet. Yeah, so we were lucky enough to be home. That was one of the printers we do not run when we are sleeping, and we do not run if we have to run out of the house really quick. So luckily we had been in and out of the studio. I was checking on my print from time to time. Nick had just started his print for the morning. It is a Hulk printer, but it still needs a name. Like our Hulk little bear from Build-A-Bear, he's Hulky Smash Smash. He can't just be the Hulk because he's not the original Hulk. So he needs a hulky name that has to do with fire. Ready? Go. So yeah, so we were lucky enough to catch it when we did. It could have been a whole lot worse, especially seeing as there's 4 printers in here, that being one of them. And it could have been disastrous. We were very lucky, and I'm glad that we keep such a good eye on it. So yeah, so that is the Anet. It just goes to show that there are some upgrades to it that you should be making to make it safer, including upgrading the power supply, adding a power switch to it, just for some starters. There is a link I can post. I'll have to find it, but there's a link to Punished Props did a list of things that you should at the very least be updating for safety reasons on your Anet, and it's a pretty good list. That's awesome. Inferno Hulk, that's a good one. So that is the Anet. Unfortunately, it is down for the count at the moment. Which is unfortunate because Nick was making some pretty good progress on all the printed parts. So hopefully that will be up and running again soon. Like I said, all the parts have been ordered for it. Once they have been installed, I'll go ahead and do a little update on it and let you guys know how it's going and if the updates kind of helped with the quality as well. Not that it was bad quality, because it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad quality either. This is the Poly Alchemy Elixir in the Emerald City color, which is one of my favorite colors ever. So that is the Anet. Other technical difficulties, because it has just been a week of technical difficulties for me. I had a glitch in my Zix Plus review files, and unfortunately that means I lost about 4 minutes worth of video footage. I didn't lose any of the audio because that's done separately, which is good because now I at least still have the audio to talk through. But now I am needing to use some filler space so you're not just looking at a black screen. So I've been working on that. I worked a little bit on my lunch break on that, and I will hopefully finish it up just after this live stream. Well, after dinner and after this live stream. And then that video will go up as soon as I'm done with it. I'm not going to hold off on it at all. So that happened, and then like I said with the capture card that I was so looking forward to using, I waited to the last minute to open up the box, only to find out I did not have the right size cable for my camera. My camera uses a mini HDMI, and it came with a regular HDMI, and I don't have any mini cables anywhere. So unfortunately that means that I'm going to have to order one. I was hoping that I could make it out to the store to get one, but I just did not have enough time, seeing as the closest store is 20 minutes away. So unfortunately you're stuck with this. I think that's really all I had to chat about, I think. Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm really hoping to get back into filming a little bit more frequently. I do have a couple of glitter reviews coming up here. One of them is going to be this one right here, the High Five Blue. I also would really like to get the Filament PM one out. However, I'm having some difficulties dialing in that ABS. I thought I had the settings right, but it looks like I need to adjust them a little bit more. It's not in here, because the top of the unicorn's head kind of ended up a little hollow. So I still have a little bit to adjust on that before I release that video. So I'm going to jump probably into the High Five Blue, because I already have those settings dialed in, as it was actually no different than my current PLA settings. I don't really have good luck with printing with ABS. I know Nick has pretty good luck, but I don't know what it is. I can't seem to get my settings correct. I do all the settings that it suggests, and it just never works, ever. I'll stick to PLA or HTPLA. Do any of them involve house music and lasers? All of them. Yep, that sounds about right. Yeah, you know, like I used to be able to print with ABS for with no problem. I don't know what I've changed in my settings since then, but I just can't seem to get it to work the way that I expect it to. I think the last successful, yep, the last successful ABS print I had was this, which is the angle finder, which actually came in really handy when assembling the desk area over here. This worked great and it printed great, aside from the skirt that I put on it, or the brim. And that's really it. Otherwise it printed great. But I haven't been able to duplicate any results like this recently. It's seriously so handy. I can't even tell you. I mean, that's the only time I've felt the need to use it, but I have a couple other projects coming up here that I will be able to use it, and I wish I had one when we were cutting the pavers for my patio. It's not that I'm not happy with the Anet, it's just that I don't like my printer's power supplies to be crispy. Hi, Brian. Ooh. How's the Prusa been performing? Like a champ? I did have one issue with it, and well, two issues with it. One I found out was the filament. So one thing that kept happening is my filament kept stopping and not extruding, and it kept grinding. I switched out 2 different filament and it had no problem. Switched back to it, had the same problem. So I'm going to call it a filament issue, or at least filament issue with that printer. So that was problem number 1. Problem number 2 is I had heated up everything when the probe was close to the bed, and it did affect the layer height. So I thought that everything was off and that I'd messed up somehow, but really I just needed to heat up the nozzle in the bed with the nozzle up a little bit higher. Hey, thanks, Eddie. Do you see a massive difference in time between S3D estimate print time and actual print time? Yes, about 10 to 15% more if you have a lot of retraction. I think a good example of that is when I printed the Baby Groot. I printed it in wood PLA from Hatchbox, which requires a ton of retraction, and it was supposed to finish in 11 hours, and I think it finished in 17 hours. But the amount of retraction on that filament is insane. Box 2 first successful print was about 9.5 hours, 9.5 hours, I think. And they are now in stock, which is amazing. So back in May, when I was talking to Prusa at the Maker Faire, he had said that at some point he would love to be able to have printers in stock, and that would be awesome to not have an actual back order happening. And he can officially say that that has happened as of today. He announced that, which is awesome. So huge congrats to him. Who would have known that in less than 4 months he'd be in stock? I still have not received the multi-material unit. I don't think that's supposed to be coming until middle of September at some point. You pull that trigger rep cord. It is so worth it. The multi-material unit is not yet in stock that I know of. I haven't received mine, so I'd assume that it is not in stock yet. I don't think that will be in stock for a little while. Last I had seen, they were going through parts as quickly as they were going through pieces and of the upgrade kits as quickly as they were getting them. At least that was the last update I saw, and that was a month and a half ago maybe. So I would anticipate at some point he's going to try to make that an in-stock item as well, but it's not yet. Yeah, double on some prints is a possibility. I don't know if I've ever seen quite double. I think the 11 to 17 hours or whatever that was the largest gap difference. I don't think I've ever seen more than that. But I have noticed a huge correlation to the retraction distance and the amount of time it's off by. I mean, it's already off in general, but that makes it off even more. Yeah, I had contemplated a different printer for my business prints, but I have to say, if I ever need another printer for business purposes, I will probably buy another Prusa. There's something about its ease of printing and the fact that it prints really well every time. Like right now it's printing something at a 100 micron layer height, which sometimes on other printers we have, it has a difficult time in the beginning, but it went down perfectly, stuck like a dream with nothing on the bed, just wiped down with a little alcohol. And so far, seriously, everything has just come out great, minus the disasters I have in this basket down here of all of the failed prints from the filament that wasn't working. Happy Monday, Nailhead. Yeah, so I've definitely been super impressed by it. I like the ease of use, for sure. Buy another Anet and change the name to Abuzz Designs. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I understand needing to convince the wife. I mean, obviously, I don't have to convince my wife because I am the wife. And Nick actually is pretty easy to convince of things. Love you, sweets. But I'm sure you can convince her. I mean, it could really be your main printer for everything. I mean, you can try. It might work. It couldn't hurt. I mean, I'm never going to turn down jewelry. And if Nick, I mean, I don't think he'd be asking for a printer, although maybe he would. But if he said that he was buying another gun and then threw in some jewelry to go along with it, I'm probably not going to complain. Yes, for the most part, Nick is easy to convince. Unless he has a very valid reason for something, he's a little too reasonable and logical, and if something doesn't logically make sense, he will call you out. True story, Repcord. That is a little more difficult when you have 3 others. Nick is actually cooking me dinner right now because he's amazing. I've had such a stressful day, and he's being awesome and cooking while I live stream. All your reasons are not valid. Nice try. Well, if anybody has any other questions, or do you have any requests? Do you guys have any video requests? Somebody had requested another design tutorial, so I thought about revisiting the taco train and redesigning it so that the taco car as well as the engine were in one piece. So the engine kind of isn't necessary, but it doesn't really look like a taco train without it. So I thought about putting 2 taco little holders on the back and then the engine on the front of just one piece of a car. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, let me know. Or if you have any other video requests, design requests, anything like that, let me know. Yes, fusion videos. Okay, so I will definitely do that as soon as possible. What happened with the Anet? Again, the Anet had a smoking problem. Nick turned it on to print a part for its reconstruction, and within, I think it was like a half hour, he walked into the room and it was super smelly, and we ended up with a fried power supply. Luckily we caught it rather quickly, but because it could have been a whole lot worse. Yes, the PSU smoked too much. Do you really need any other reason than it goes boom? Yes. Yes, you do. That's a perfectly good excuse when you have a couple of them. When you start having an arsenal, it is no longer. Or at least in my opinion. Alright guys, well, I have a feeling dinner is almost ready, so that means we should be wrapping up. If anybody else has any questions, now is your chance. I have not done assemblies in Fusion 360. I can try it and find out how it goes and record it if it's not horrific. So for those of you guys who don't know how I do my Fusion 360 tutorials, I do not film the entire thing from start to finish because if I did that, it would be a very long video to edit and kind of disastrous. I usually go through the entire design first, and then I do a redesign once I figured out how exactly I'm going to do it. And I do that simply because of the editing standpoint, and also because I'm still learning Fusion 360, so I try a ton of things that don't work, which although would be great for you guys to see, it's just going to make editing and the length of the length of the video a nightmare. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I am definitely going to order the HDMI cable as soon as I shut this stream down and eat dinner, so that next week we will be up with a fancy new picture coming out of my Canon camera. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your Monday. I hope it turns out better than the rest of my day has been, and here's hoping that the rest of the night goes a little bit better. And I will see you guys again next time.